Welcome to Heat, Hope, and Hard Times, the podcast where the ring is more than a ring. In professional wrestling, we see heroes rise, villains fall, and stories told through sweat, struggle, and sacrifice. But beyond the pyrotechnics and promos are real-life lessons about resilience, identity, failure, and growth. Each episode, we break down moments from wrestling, classic matches, unforgettable characters, and behind-the-scenes journeys, and connect them to the challenges we face in everyday life. Because whether you're fighting for a championship or just trying to get through the week, the lessons are the same. Take the heat, hold on to hope, and survive the hard times.
Okay, welcome back to yet another episode of the Heat, Hope, and Hard Times podcast. We're doing another guest interview today, but first, as always, I am your host, Kyle the High Five Guy. Hold your applause, please. But today, we've got a really interesting guest, and I say interesting because one, he's a hell of a lot of fun to watch, but two, he is literally 2 weeks away from officially retiring, meaning he already officially retired, and we're now doing this about 2 weeks later. So it's going to be really fun to get this side of things because so far everybody that we've had on that you guys have heard has been active at various stages in their careers, some in the twilight of their careers, others in the middle, others just starting. So it's going to be fun to get this guy's opinion now that he's officially hung up the boots. So without any further ado, I am pleased to announce and introduce the one, the only General Keisel, 3LW, SWO, many other promotions. The guy is arguably one of my favorite heels to watch. And I did get the privilege to see him work babyface at an SWO event that I went to support the one and only Zoe Cannon at. But I'm going to kick it over to you, General Keisel. Introduce yourself.
What an introduction, man. Yeah, it's crazy when you say like 2 weeks because like it definitely feels like I retired like 2 months ago. Just because of how much like time is just like feels like it's gone by so quick. Yeah, 15 years, man. 15 years of a lot of fun, a lot of heartache, a lot of great times, bad times, good times, crazy times. Yeah. So I was very fortunate. I very fortunate in everything I got to do. I mean, yeah. And for a lot of people that say like, all right, we'll see you in June. No, the in ring is done. I knew when my time was. And I get to walk away. My limbs work, my knees work, my hips work, my back works. I can get down on the floor with my kids. That was always my big thing because I would share locker rooms with guys and see, uh, just kind of see them like hobbling around, hard to get around and everything. They're like, oh, it's fine after it warms up. It's like it shouldn't hurt that bad. Like your body shouldn't be in that bad of shape. So I got to be very fortunate. I got to leave on my own terms. I got to leave on such a high note. Both through SWO and through Three Legacy. Uh, yeah, a lot of emotions, a lot of like my wife asking me for months, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" I'm like, "I'm positive." And it was the day. I remember being the day of the 3LW show, and she's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "You know what? I changed my mind." She goes, "Wait, what?" I was like, "I'm just kidding." It's just because she had asked and asked and asked, but it was, man, some of those guys are just they're hard to keep up with. They are. Man, I had a student showcase match with Naeem Brooks, and man, that kid's got something. He's got something. He's something special. My year-long feud with Byron. Love that guy to pieces. He is. Yeah, he's a treasure. He's just yeah. I got to work with some really good guys for long periods of time. Um, I feel bad for one person because everybody was asking me, well, who's going to team with Ace Dallas? I was like, well, somebody needs to start a poll and like ask, just start a poll of like who you think his next tag partner will be. I was like, actually, that could be really creative. But and there's things that I missed. Now I'll also come by, check out shows, see shows. it's definitely like I'm gonna be there to support everybody. In ring for myself is done, but there's a lot of stuff to do behind the scenes. There's a lot of from helping to agent matches to talk to people in the back and everything. There's many different things, but in ring for me is done. People have asked, what about being a manager? I'm like, I couldn't be a manager because I'd be like, well, I could take a bump, I could take it, and then I get involved in it. I'm like, no, we'll take a step back. There's such a large group of talent, like coming through the SWO, coming through 3LW. I mean, those guys are just, yeah, yeah. So anyway, so a lot of stuff going on in 2 week span. So
That is a lot in 2 weeks. But you said a few things that I think are really important. First and foremost, I guess you're not going the Ric Flair route and having, I don't know, 20 retirements. Um, so that's good.
yep.
And when you and I were talking at the last 3LW event, when you left your boots in the ring, that's what hit me is when you said, I want to be able to still get down on the floor and play with my kids. And that's awesome. It's that impact that really, I'm assuming, had a lot to do with your decision to retire. Um, but you also mentioned that your wife kept asking you, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" How important was her input in that decision?
It was she definitely, like, when I brought it up to her, I said, "Hey, I've been toying with this idea." And then when I talked to her about it, she's like, "You've been thinking about this for a little bit." I was like, "Okay, I've been like back and forth." But she's like, "Is something wrong, or are you not having fun?" Or I was like, "No, actually, I'm having a this last 2 3 years alone, I've had the most fun in the 15 years that I've been doing it. I've been just having fun doing it, and it's been great. Just the crowd reactions, the just everything. I get to be a heel at one promotion and a baby face at another promotion. It was nice to like be able to get that. Plus it was nice my kids got to grow up watching me do it. So I have a almost 23-year-old that's gotten to watch me since day one. My 17-year-old's gotten to watch me since day one. And then now our 4-year-old was able to watch me for herself as well, which was nice. Um it's definitely really nice. But she would ask me, she was like, "Are you sure? Are you positive? Are is there something you can take a lighter schedule? Is it just too much?" I was like, "No." But for me, I feel like I had to it was either all or nothing. I couldn't do like hey, I'll miss a couple shows here and there, because it wasn't fair to the promoters, which were super. I'm super grateful for any of the promoters that I've worked for, because they've been very open to, like, if I'm like, "Hey, I can't make this one," or, "Hey, could I switch this around?" Or they've been very accommodating, which has been so great. And that's what makes it great to work for those companies, because you can talk to them like a person. Even though you're conducting business, you can still talk to them. They're human. They understand, shit goes sideways. But it was really nice to be able to go through and have that. So I was like, "No, it's not that." I was like, "It really is just the." I mean, my wife and I have been with each other for 5 years, and the amount of Saturdays that I have eaten up, Sundays and Friday nights, definitely time to give some of that time back. But then also now I get to have time with my family as well. But I also got to do something that I love, and I didn't feel selfish about doing it, which was nice. She fully supported every step of the way. There'd be times where like she's like, "Oh, we don't have anything on Saturday." I'm like, "No, there's no show this weekend." She's like, "Oh, okay." So she got very heavily invested in it too. But she was such a huge supporter with it. I mean, her and I were started dating through COVID, when we weren't sure what wrestling was gonna be like during COVID. We didn't know if there was gonna
Scary
come
time.
back from COVID, and that's a whole can of stuff through COVID. That was a different time, being a independent wrestler during that time. So, but no, she's a huge supporter. She definitely was one that wanted me to be my best version of myself, and like pushed me even harder and harder. So when I was like, "Yeah, I think this is it," she goes, "You, at any point, you can decide you want to stay and still do it." I'm like, "Oh, nope, I'm aware." And then I was like, "No, that was it. That was it." As it got to December 1st, I was like, "Holy shit." I have 2 shows left. Holy shit, I have 2 shows left. So it was, I had those kind of like harsh realities, but it was such great planning with such great people. So that's what I got very fortunate to be a part of that, to have a place to call home that I know if I went through and, talked to talked to Nate, or I talked to Ricardo and was like, "Hey, change my mind." They're like, "It sounds great. Come on back." And,
Oh,
and that's great to know, that to have a place like that, which means I've left a good impact with those people. But they're such an amazing people. It's such an amazing group of people that it's funny, because like where I started to where I finished is almost night and day for myself, personally, mentally, physically. Um, yeah, yeah.
it's you definitely hit the nail on the head there with both of those two being great people. Um, we talked not this past show, but I think the show before, you and I, where I said, I did go out to the SWO show that Zoe debuted on. Um, that was my first time being at an SWO show. I've been to Shikara, House of Hardcore, WWE, AEW, 3LW, Ring of Honor, you name it.
Yep.
I've done a lot. Um, and I, SWO was just far enough of a drive to where I would be like, maybe not. And most of the times I'd decide not. But when Zoe was there, I absolutely wanted to be there to support her because she's a rock star. And that promotion is so vastly different than 3LW, right? SWO is a little bit more edgy with some things. Um, it's much more a comedy. Like I see much more comedy heavy over in SWO than I do 3LW. And I want to stress to the viewers the importance of discovering new promotions, because it's so much fun, especially for you people listening that have never been to an independent show. It's some of the best wrestling you'll see. It's some of the most fun you will have at a wrestling show. Do it. Um, but yeah, you talked about, Naeem, you talked about Byron, two guys who I absolutely love. Byron is one of the most incredible human beings on this earth. Naeem, I don't know on a huge personal level, but I do know what he is like in the ring and on as a performer. I also know how he handles fan interactions. Like with myself, he knows that I'm much more. I'm going to sound like such a smark here, um, but he knows that I'm very, very active with the talent, with the performers behind the scenes. I love the guy. I love everybody in the business. Um, and I see his interactions with me. I see his interactions with Raleigh, and I'm like, yeah, he's a solid guy, right?
Yep.
But and Bill talked about this on his episode. We both talked about Naeem, and I'm going to have Spencer Slade on. Hashtag spoiler alert. Probably next week, I believe, will be Spencer's episode. But Naeem has that it factor.
Yep.
It is all over him. It is. I have never seen him have a bad match yet. And I bring him up because you mentioned about how much fun you had being able to work heel in 3LW, babyface in SWO. That night that I was at SWO, Chris O'Mealy was sitting next to me. And that was another fun thing because Chris is always at the commentator booth. So I never get to watch a match with him. So being next to him for SWO was amazing because we're both like watching so critically and having.
Yep.
And he said, "Hey, Naeem's, they're trying to make Naeem heel here in SWO." And I really wanted to see how it would go because I'm at that stage of, we'll say, life as a pro wrestling fan where I don't care about storyline. I don't care about who's heel or babyface. I just want to see really good, solid work. Right. And Naeem's one of those people that I have been able to see since I saw him at the first student showcase. Like, this guy he's got it. He
Yep.
absolutely has it. And I told Chris, I said, watch. I said, I guarantee you, I said, Naeem is so good that this crowd's not going to be able to get behind him being a heel because he's so damn good. They're going to cheer. And
Yep.
that's exactly what happened. And I said, that's how you know at this level of the game, this kid is going to be sky's the limit. Sky's
Yeah,
the
and I've had that before where I've gone to a promotion where like I've walked in and it might be like a new promotion. I'm going against somebody who's more localized there, and I'm like, okay, well the person I'm going against are like, oh, they're a face. They're a face here. You're going to be a heel. Sounds great. I got it. I know my assignment. And then I've gone out there and they booed the hell out of him and cheered me as the refs checking me. I was like, hey, tell him he's the heel. And you see him checking him and you just see the look on his face like, oh shit, I don't know how to be a heel. I'm like, okay, all right, let's go. Like I'm like, because if we would have done it the way we had intended it, the crowd wouldn't have cared. They wouldn't have gotten behind it and everything too. But when we flipped the script and played to what the audience wanted, it it probably would it turned out 10 times better than what it would have. So that's it's and doing that on the fly, me 1, 2, 3, 4 years in, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I would have been the deer in headlights. Like, what do you mean? I don't know how to. But it's later on you start going through like you need to know how to be both roles because one, the drop of a hat, or two, you could go out there yelling, spitting in people's faces, and they're still like, "I love this guy. I love when he headbutts my children." They don't care. So you just playing to those strengths in that too, and that was yeah. I mean, and Naeem's, I sit there and I bust his chops all the time. I tell him he throws a piss poor drop kick and then at the student showcase, he made sure to kick my head off. Um, but it's nice having those like with those young guys that like I see a lot of stuff like I will never be at that athletic ability of a Naeem or a Bro Keller. I won't be. I know physically I
you
can't.
call bro
Um,
the young
but
guys.
yeah, but it's like but it's like but I know that I can't do that, so I know my role is different and everything too, and everybody plays a pivotal role, and it's yeah
I
those
think
guys are
that is one of I think the most undervalued aspects of professional wrestling that um I'll say non fans are missing. It's the fact that it's performance art at its most basic level. It's performance art, but it's a whole different beast of performance art because you're adding ridiculous athleticism, and you have to be able to, like you just said, read the crowd, understand what they need and want from both performers, and you have to be able to do it on the fly because sometimes shit doesn't go the way you can have an amazing spot plan and it just fall completely flat and silent.
yeah, and I mean I've seen guys like Just Jay and AJ Morales and stuff like that, and they'll do like some real crazy flippy stuff. Like the crowd's into it, but they could run into crowds where they're just like, okay, cool, do the next flip, kind of thing. And that sucks for them because it's like, man, they're going way out of their way, kind of thing. But that's where you have to play to it. You have to understand how to go through. You might be able to go through and like, hey, this match over here at this promotion would go fantastic, but this one's in kind of an old school crowd. They don't want to see that, so you have to cater to that as well. And that's where getting out to see those different promotions is really nice because then you get to learn the crowd and learn how they, hey, I'm going to do all these things and that too. Like, oh, this crowd doesn't like it. Okay, cool. Then I will do something different so they don't just go, all right, cool. We like that guy. He was great.
Yeah,
So
and you're exactly right. I mean, I would have. Granted, it's funny because earlier today I recorded my solo episode about the infamous Hard Times promo, um, and in the episode I talked about how the internet has really opened up so many doors for fans and promoters and athletes alike because virtually it's all at our fingertips. Every style of wrestling, from deathmatch to shikara comedy wrestling, right? It's all available, but there's nothing that can ever duplicate being there in person for one of these events. It's it's insane. I mean, I've been in at we went to SummerSlam this past year. We went to Mania in Philly. Those huge stadium shows on bigger, big four pay-per-views. The feelings unlike anything you'll see. It's completely different than a crowd atmosphere at Raw or back when I got back into wrestling I would go to a lot of Ring of Honor events down at the ECW arena, and
Yeah.
anybody who has ever been to any wrestling event at the ECW arena knows that's a whole different beast of a crowd. And
Yeah.
you'll see different stuff everywhere, but I love being in the different crowds. Like it's incredible. I desperately want to take Raleigh to a CZW event, especially now that they're bringing the Tournament of Death back yeah, I know
That's a horse of a whole nother color, yeah. But I mean,
it is.
but it is. It's I will say with the live events are so much different and everything too. But that's where like the color commentators, like I give it up to Chris and Joey and recently Al De Niro too.
That's good
It
plug.
was it's nice, and also Big Al and Professor Keith over at SWO, those color commentators come in huge. If you're somebody who's just tuning into it and just listening to it and watching it and everything too, and you're not live, they invest you. I mean, that's what started me. Like that's when I used to watch wrestling, it was the Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler. Like you felt like you were there, like you were sitting right behind them, kind of thing, as they were calling it, because it felt good and they made you go like you're like holy shit, like you're amped up for it, but you weren't even there. Like, so that means that when you're there, you already have that like that energy going into it. You're like, oh, this is gonna be, and then it surpasses even that because you have that live atmosphere. And that's why these independent shows are great, because you get that one-on-one interaction. You get that, I don't know how many little kids and old ladies I yelled at and screamed at and everything. But it's that's what they get. But and it's like, hey, I'm talking directly to you, not you as you 500 people here. I'm talking to you, the one kid in the kind of thing, and it makes them feel like. I think about like my kids. My kids love it. Oh my gosh, my youngest loves it when I would sit there and like she would be booing me and I'd scream at her and she'd giggle and laugh, and I'd say because just loved that was that interaction. Plus, she was like, "I've never seen Dad yell like that. That's kind of weird." Uh, so yeah, yeah,
That's awesome. I mean, and that's what independent wrestling's all about, right? You have that ability to really connect with fans on a personal level. Um, okay, what's your favorite moment that you've ever had with a fan?
um, I had it was at a Three Legacy event, and this lady had to have been, I want to say, 80 to 85 years old. And I sat there and talking shit between the ropes and everything too. And I invited her, oh, come on, you want to come on? And she's in a video package for Three Legacy. I'm pretty sure it was the Downtown Showdown one. And she's sitting there. It was even better because like the face she was making and that too, she was like she was gonna beat my ass, and I played that up, and like people like after I got back in the ring, because I'm the cowardly heel, I get back in the ring, and just seeing the fans interact with her and her face just light up, like I was a part of that. I scared his bitch ass back in the thing, and it's like that's awesome. Like that's what we do it for. We do it for those, because you don't get that in you might go to a WWE event and you're going to pay $200-300 for a seat and everything too, and there's, well, thanks, see you later, and that's for like nosebleed. Um, versus
Yes, it is.
some of these events are $20. $20, pure family friendly. Uh, at certain shows, I will put that out there. There are some shows that are not family friendly, and that's okay because there's something for everybody. Um, but that's what our goal is. Like I could go through and do a bunch of moves, but if I don't interact with the crowd, why did they pay to come see us? Why did they pay to come, kind of thing? And that's what but fans build that and they know what to expect out of me when I would walk out there as well. When myself, Nate would walk out there, they knew what to expect out of us. And they knew if we walked out there and said nothing, they'd be like, I don't care about these guys. No, we're going to go out there and, we're going to be in Lancaster and we're going against South Philly's finest. We're going to tell them that the Eagles suck. Yes, we are. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kind of thing. And it's just those are those little things, there's little cues to pick up on as well. Little things that go a long way. I wish I would have known that years and years ago. It's the little things that go a long way. A lot of things that stick. I have this one girl, her name is Rose. She's a fan that watched has come to see me wrestle since, I think, since she was 5, And just like watching like every show, like I asked her mom for like if she could put together a little like photo package just to show like over the years and everything too. But it's like it's crazy because you don't realize that you become part of these people's lives. Like some fans would come up to me and talk to me about how they're doing in school and that they didn't have to go to summer school this year because they were doing so much better. And it felt great because like putting wrestling aside, like we've built that together, and that's cool because you don't get that. You're not gonna walk up and Braun Breaker is gonna be like, oh yeah, tell me about how school's going. Like he's gonna be like, well, just keep going, kid. Um, but
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to like get that because then it's like we get to build those relationships, and there's people who want to come back because they're like, I really like this guy. I love it, or I love to hate that guy, and that's great. That means if you love to hate me, then I'm doing my job. And
Oh,
that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So, but you also have the heartbreak where you go through and like we've had events where uh we have for SWO we do it every year. It was the Jeff Becker Memorial Tournament. Jeff Becker was a huge fan of the SWO. He was always front row. Him, his family, getting to watch like his granddaughter grow up and his son and him and his wife coming to the shows. And then he was at a show on a Saturday and he passed away the next day. We had gotten to see him at that show like the night before. And that threw a lot of us for a loop. But it's like you never realize like how close of a connection, how close of a bond you build with those people and that too. And it's like, wow, and these might be people that that I might not have ever interacted with if it wasn't for wrestling. I might have passed them on the street, but we would have just passed by each other. Now I bump into his wife I'll be at Walmart and I'll bump into her at Walmart kind of thing. And it's cool. It's cool to have that and have that built as well.
see, that's the whole basis for this podcast is that I wanted to bring to light the absolutely insane, deep emotional impact that professional wrestling has from all sides. Like that's an incredible story. I mean, obviously I hate to hear that a fan passed,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
it really is. It's that the only way I can really describe it is like pro wrestling and fans are just a close knit family, especially on the independent level. You know,
Yep.
I have friends, personal friends that have um, that I've now seen through pretty much their entire careers, from starting a fire hall to debuting at NXT at the Barclays Center and wrestling in the Royal Rumble and then moving to AEW. And well, I mean, you figure out who that is at this point.
Yeah.
Um, but it's one of those things. Like I've seen people at all levels, and the best people I know are the ones that do things that you just talked about. That you guys care so deeply about the fans. So as a fan, thank you, because I have had a fucking blast watching you. I mean, it's been so much fun. I can see how much fun that you're having as a heel. Same with Nate or Ace. Well,
Yeah.
you've said his name anyway,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's like before we get into that, I'll just ask you a simple, quick question. What do you like working better, face or heel?
Oh, heel, absolutely.
I've never had anybody face ever, even
You know what?
before the podcast.
But I will say though is that early on face I didn't like it as much only because I was told like whenever I talk with Bro Keller because I was there for Bro Keller's like first day of training when he first started and everything too to like where he's at now, night and day. Like the dude's phenomenal. Um, but but going through and my very first persona in that too, I was the party animal. I pretty much described it as if you ordered Bro Keller from Wish, that's what you got was me as the party animal. So it was but I didn't have a good understanding of it. I couldn't get behind the gimmick and everything too. Years later, I have a better understanding of it, and I have done it at different promotions and everything too, and I have a good time doing it. Um, it is a lot harder to be a face, though. It is because you have to. The crowd has to. feel pity for you. They have to want you. Versus for me, I find an old lady or a little kid to pick on, and that's and that's usually, and it's usually like there'll be like some big macho dude that'll be like, "You talking to me?" I'm like, "No, I'm talking to the little girl behind you," kind of thing. And that's the banter that I like to do. And then whatever, and a lot of it as like I started getting through the years and that too. Obviously, the less is more. The um doing fun gimmick stuff as well, like going through and facing against Ben Bishop and Microman. Like I would that was not on my list of stuff. And listen, uh, Nate has this face that he makes whenever I would say, "Hey, I want to do this spot. Hear me out." He has this look of like, "No, no, I don't want to hear anything you say." I'm like, "Listen, listen, listen. I'm gonna put you on my shoulders." He goes, "I don't like where this is going." Um, but it was those are things that like I would have never had that opportunity to be like. So I wrestled a guy that was 7 foot tall and a guy that was 3 foot tall in the same match. Like,
I
wait,
love
what?
that.
Like, yes, yes.
I think it was Chris O'Mealy who came up after because after every show, me, Chris, and Raleigh will go out to dinner and we will critique match by match by match, right? Right, just
Yeah,
to
yeah, yep,
laugh.
yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, it was Kiesel's idea to do the Microman spot," and I was like, "Oh my god, that was incredible, incredible! It was so much fun."
Yeah.
Um, and that's one of those things, like that's why I enjoyed watching you so much, is because your heel work is just so much fun.
I
It's
appreciate that.
so much
Appreciate
fun.
that.
And yeah, I do hear it all the time. Oh, it's easier to be a heel than a face. And I mean, obviously, it's easy to piss somebody off. It is, but it takes a true professional to be able to get that real visceral heat. And you've got it.
Thank you.
I see. Yeah, you're welcome.
There
Congratulations,
you
you asshole. But like, I anytime that I would watch you, like I said, I don't give a shit about storylines. I will if you can get me invested in a storyline, you are like world class because I
go.
I just don't care about them.
Yep.
When you would hit the ring, especially with Ace, you guys worked so well together. You
Yep.
played off of each other perfectly, and it was so funny. It was
Yep.
hilarious. I loved it. So, what made you and Ace team up?
So I had switched tag partners throughout. I had a tag partner that I had that took some time off and he took some time away, and I was kind of bouncing back and forth. I love tag team wrestling. That is where I find like I can do singles, I can hold my own, but I feel like I thrive more being a tag team wrestler. And Nate and I had kicked around the idea for so long, and then we were like, it was a perfect timeline within like Three Legacy was just starting up and everything as well. And Nate and I had started tagging at SWO. So when we talked to Ricardo about it, that's where the Almighty Syndicate came into play. So but we play so well off each other, and damn him for losing so much damn weight and looking so good. Because like, so when they would like say how much we weighed, I'm like, yeah, I'm 90% me because you're the one running a triathlon every afternoon. But he looks fantastic, and it's great to like have those things and that camaraderie. And a lot of the stuff that we did was just it was a lot of it was improv. A lot of it was just we fed so well off each other. Um, so the final my final match at Three Legacy, um, Byron, Myers, and Ace, neither one of them knew what was in that gift box at all. I had not told any of them. So the reaction that they had was their pure genuine reaction because they had no idea. And plus I lost out. I should have made those t-shirts beforehand. Because I could have sold so many Ace as a chicken
Oh, you
t-shirts.
probably still can.
Yeah, yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what I was like. I was like, maybe I'll just go there to sell the shirts. but it was nice having those genuine interactions. And I remember just being close enough to him and holding it up and seeing him, and he just looks at me. He's like, "You're an asshole." I was like, "And you're welcome." But that's where we can do those things, and we just build that relationship. But yeah, it started. We were kicking around the idea about being tag partners, and then we were like, well, let's just do it. We've got good chemistry together, and then we just anywhere we went, it was the two of us getting booked and booked and booked as well. So it was really nice, and it was always that constant. And tag team wrestling's tough because you could have it really good with a tag partner, and then the tag partner goes, I don't know if I want to be a tag partner anymore, or I'm going to take some time off, and now you're a tag team that is now, what do I do? So a lot of it was just we're really good friends. We're good friends outside of wrestling. We've hung out so much together. It's been really nice to build that bond. But again, that's uh, would I've ever met Nate outside of wrestling? Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. I might have crossed paths with him, but it's just crazy that wrestling brings people into your life that are such great influences. They're good, those are those people that are important in my family's life. And that's what's the biggest thing as well, is that you can be very closed off because as a parent, your number one job is to protect your kids. And there's crazy people out there, there's sick people out there. But it is, so if somebody I let into my family's life, that goes a long way, because that's who I protect. That's who I gotta look
For
out
you.
for. So
Good
it's
for you.
but yeah, I mean, wrestling brought me my one of my groomsmen for my wedding, and it's just, build those relationships with me and Mr. Ping. We've been best friends for forever, and it's just, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Before I dive into a tag team tangent, I have to take a minute to give a world of credit to Nate Ace. He, for that being completely improvised,
Yeah.
his his reaction and his responses and what he did, fucking amazing.
Yep.
Amazing. That was one of the most memorable moments I've seen from you guys.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the fact that he was able to pull that off on the fly is
Yeah, I,
awesome.
I told him earlier in the day. I said, "Hey, I have a present for the match." He's like, "Okay." I said, "That's all I'm going to tell you." He's like, "Not cool, dude. Not cool." And then he gave me that 1,000 yard, like, oh shit stare. Like, what are we doing? Like, what am I saying okay to? I'm like, it'll be fine. That was always my thing for him. It'll be fine. Everything will be fine. He's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. But yeah,
He handled it
yeah.
flawlessly.
Yeah. Yep. And I told him afterwards, I was like, "Are you glad I didn't tell you?" He's like, "I'm actually glad you didn't tell me, because I said that's what I wanted. I wanted a genuine reaction." And
Good
that was
move.
fantastic. Yeah.
Good move.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you were talking about um, that you prefer tag team, but you also understand the potential dangers of tag team because and it's always funny how these episodes when I record them, like, they all kind of play off of each other without anybody knowing what was said outside of Smiley and Zoe. But I had this exact conversation in my episode with Smiley. Tag team wrestling, I think, is such an underrated art form in the world of professional wrestling, and I think a lot of that is because you have those people that they want, let's say, the next level, and I'm not trying to mean that in a negative
Mhm. Yeah.
light.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's going to want, it's human nature to want that personal fame, that single fame, especially in this business. Um, and when you think of the best tag teams out there, they're the tag teams that never split, never. Right? You think of Legion of Doom, Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal never split. They tried, and everyone's like, "This is stupid."
Yeah. Yep.
You look at the Outsiders, Nash and Hall. I feel like that. I mean, they were both huge single stars on their own before getting into the tag mix. But
Nate and I were definitely like the rock and sock connection. That's our.
that's actually a phenomenal comparison. I love that. That's
Yep.
a
Yep.
perfect comparison for you
Yep.
two.
Yep. So we were
Um,
just like the real goofy aspect, but then we were serious when we had to be. then back to being silly, and then
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Yep.
that's 100% accurate.
Yep.
But like I look at tag teams, say like there's 2, 3, maybe 4 in 3LW that I've seen. Not that have been homegrown 3LW, but you can tell, or at least I can, that when the time comes, there's going to be one breakout. Like with let's say Luca and Jimmy. I don't ever think they will split up. They work
No,
amazing together. They are the most incredible people I've ever met.
they're probably one of our favorite tag teams that we got a chance to
Love
work
them.
multiple times. They were
I
so much
love
fun. Yeah.
Jimmy himself is one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Yeah.
Ever. He is like
Yep.
the biggest sweetheart. Um, but all right, let's like for example, we'll say fuck it, I'll say him. Nice and smooth.
Okay.
Okay. Work phenomenally together.
Yep.
Phenomenally. Each of them wildly talented.
Yes.
I would even put money on it that when one of the big three really start taking a look at them, they're going to be looking more at Tom.
Okay. Okay.
Trace, equally as talented. But there is something about Tom that commands the ring presence. And I am not saying this to knock Trace in any way. I love
No,
Trace.
I get you. Yeah, yeah.
I see it. I see
You
it with,
have you have some of those people that do really well as a tag team, and then you have others that like for myself and Nate, we can do well as singles, but we almost do so much better when we're a tag because we just bring out the best in each other.
yeah.
So you have some people that go through, and it is hard going to be a singles in that as well, because it's like you go from like, all right, if I'm gassed and I'm winded, I mean those guys are at least they're at least in better shape than I am. Um, but if I'm out of shape and if I'm beaten, I'm winded a little bit, I get to tag somebody in and I can get a
Yeah.
breather. I can bullshit with the crowd. But when you're a singles, like you don't. I mean, my character would, because I'd call timeout, kind of thing. But you don't get that. You got to be like on the go, on the go. So there's some guys that can go through and do it. Some people that just have that look, that charisma, that I mean, Tom started out as a ring announcer.
Mm-hmm.
He was a ring announcer, so it's just crazy in that too. And for Trace, I was there for his early on training years as well, and it's great to see them grow. But they can do really well. They can excel in different ways. They do well together, better separate.
Yeah.
There's some that
It's
can do really well on their own. There's some that it's like you actually do better as a tag.
and yeah, you're absolutely right. Right? Like I think I don't know, yesterday or today was like the 28th or 30th anniversary of when Sean kicked Marty through the window, right?
Hmm.
Super kick heard around the world.
Yeah, yep.
Um, and I look back on it, and as I remember the first time I saw it, because I would have only been 7 or 8 when it happened. But I when I watch it again, it's almost you can pinpoint the exact second that Marty Jannetty's career technically was pretty much over.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it was the second that super kick landed.
Yep.
And granted, he had Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I mean, and you have that sometimes too. That like sometimes even writing though, like writing and producing and booking as well, can can kill somebody's gimmick and kill somebody's push and go as well. So you know, yeah, a lot of things ride on. I mean, you can have two guys that show up together, aces in that too, and then it's like now one's but different fields. Like yeah, Brett and Owen. Okay, Brett was always up here. Owen's always here fighting, fighting, fighting. I liked watching Owen fight because Owen had to fight harder because Brett just kind of excelled and was getting that push. So he had to fight even harder, and it felt bad like later on in his career. And it was like, here's your gimmick, here's your gimmick, here's your gimmick. It's like
Yeah.
no, let him be what made him get in there, and that's what would have propelled. Um, But instead
That,
they're like, hey, you're gonna be pissed off because you can't grow a beard, so that's your gimmick for 2 years, kind of thing. So
that is a perfect example because of all the Hart children and grandchildren and cousins and in-laws,
yeah,
you had I I know the Samoan dynasty is really technically the first family of wrestling, but what Stu Hart built
yeah,
was a family and a gym with a dungeon of just
hard
Hall of Fame.
asses.
Oh my god. Oh
Like,
my god.
yeah, yep.
But
Take their licks and keep on going. Yep.
when you look at the brothers, right? You got Owen, Brett, Keith. I don't know. There's like 8 or 9 more, I think. I don't know. But
The hearts were a little busy.
yeah, Stu
Yeah,
wrestled and fornicated. That was Stu.
yeah. There, yeah.
But as as much as I hate to say it, I do believe that from an in-ring talent, Bret Hart is the greatest of all time. I as much as I cannot stand the guy because of how he's handled things after his career, I will never take that away from the guy. Never had a bad match, and he made every
Yeah,
look amazing.
yeah,
But Owen, I firmly believe that had Owen not went the way he did and had
yeah,
the longevity, I think he would be par on par with Bret.
yeah,
And I think a lot of people knew that, and that's what goes into what we were just talking about with booking. It it really can make or break.
yeah.
Um, wow, yeah, man, Owen was so good, so good.
Yes.
And so
Oh
was
yeah.
Bret.
And
Man,
it was fun to he was fun to watch, but it's almost like when you like sometimes like thinking like the independent, so the independent scene in that too, everybody's hungry because they want to get to that next spot, they want to get to that next level as well, so they're fighting more for it. Some of those guys that end up landing in WWE sometimes become a little stagnant because it's like, well, I made it. I always think of like I was just like the like NFL versus NCAA. Like NCAA, they're fighting their asses off to get there, and they get to NFL, and they're like, I mean, I'm here. All right, got to work as hard, kind of thing. So it was nice, like him doing that, but almost doing it in his own little story, his own little like timeline kind of thing. So it wasn't like, hey, you're doing really good, but your brother's that much better. Kind of thing. It's like,
yeah,
well, actually, like if you put them on par, like they could have been really good, but like again, booking brought him down. And then we're gonna do this. And now we're gonna do this. And now you're gonna be the blue blazer and that too. And it's like, okay, now I got a Stardust gimmick kind of thing.
yeah,
It's but
you're
it's what they,
absolutely right.
but however, it's also what they do with that. So they go through and they give it, so like for some of the promotions and that too, I was Tony Mask. I was dressed up as a tiger. I
Just
was
about to ask you
yeah.
if there were
So
any bookings in your career that you're like, fuck, man, I got to fight my way out of this.
the funny thing is I actually I thoroughly enjoyed the gimmick. I didn't know if I would. I was under a mask. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna and I get to go out. Like it's funny when you're under a mask because you feel like you're kind of like it doesn't matter what you do. You can look like a complete jackass, but it doesn't matter because I can't see my face. It brought up a different style of wrestling for myself, and it opened up a lot of avenues and everything too. It was fun to do, but it was one of those like I did it, and I'm like, man, there's sometimes am I glutton for punishment? Like, do I didn't need to do the gimmick, but I started to really enjoy doing it. So that was really nice. I didn't get ever put in a position where it was like, hey, we need you to do this, and it's gonna look real silly and stupid and hokey, but good luck, kind of thing. Um, I never wrestled for anybody that put me in that predicament or that situation and everything too, which
Good.
was nice. I'm just a glutton for punishment because I'm like, yeah, I can wrestle as Tony Mask and then give me 2 matches and I'll change into Keisel. Yeah, 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 no problem, no problem. That'll be real easy. Um, the amount of referees that I had to be like, hey, can you help me undress and redress because I'm sweating and I can't get out of this thing and it's ridiculous.
That
Um, but it was fun getting those different exposures as well. I did when I was at PWA, I did a masked medic gimmick, which was a little different. And it's different when you like do those. And like I asked them, like, hey, I'm filling this in, doing this spot. Like, what does the person sound like? Do they talk? Do they not talk? If they talk, what do they say? How do they sound? Some of the people are like, well, we didn't really give them a voice. Okay, cool. I'm gonna figure this out, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see, just, but doing it naturally, and a lot of times of mine ended up going to some sort of a growl, kind of just a grumbly sound, because I'm like, well, I can't sound like myself. Okay, we'll figure it out. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I feel like this next bit's gonna get me canceled. So that's the beauty of podcasts. It doesn't matter if you don't listen to my podcast, whatever. I'm gonna still do it, right? My favorite gimmick of all time, and this is gonna make me sound so terrible. And I also think it's a very good example of somebody that really just said, "Okay, I'm gonna lean very hard into this." Is Eugene?
Oh yeah.
100% would not be okay today.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and that's what you talk to
100.
him. Yeah. I've bumped into him at shows and like shows recently, and like just talking to him, and he just like, as he talks, he's like, I mean, he's like, that was what I was given. That's what I had to do. He's like, it was tough. Like, imagine like somebody that goes through and like, imagine being in that pitch meeting and that too. They're like, all right, listen. So we got this idea for you and that too. And unfortunately in those situations before, it was like, you either do that or see ya. And
Yeah,
and
but
some
like,
of them are like, well,
yeah,
shit, I guess I gotta do it. But I mean, outside of that gimmick and that too, that guy, if you ever meet him and that too, he is super, like, he's such a super nice guy. He is like
yeah,
fantastic to talk to and everything too. And it's just like, but it's crazy. Like when he gets in that gimmick, you're like, oh man. And then you think about it now, is that it's like, that wouldn't be okay now. It
no,
really wasn't okay then, but
I know that was the worst
but it
part.
was, yeah, I mean, but that says for a lot of stuff. I mean, you go through, you watch all the dark stuff with Vince and everything too, and just seeing like all the things that he did, like with his daughter involved, like
Yeah,
it's like, it's there's things that it's like it wasn't okay then, but when I was watching as a kid, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. To now, like looking at it as an adult,
yeah.
you're like, that
You're
no,
like,
that wasn't cool.
that's not good.
No, that's not. That's actually that's a bad thing.
Oh,
Um,
I love it.
yeah,
I love it.
well, I mean, but you have other people that had to take a real obscure gimmick and do something with it. You've got Gold Dust.
Yes, and that's
You know,
just
like, and at
that.
that time too, like with those big masculine, real built, like manly men, wrestlers, and you have this flamboyant guy coming and like rubbing on them and that too, and they're like almost in the moment they're like, get the hell away from me, like that's gross kind of thing. Nowadays, now with wrestling and stuff like that too, it's like no, not flamboyant enough. Not, kind of thing. But it's like, but then when it was there, it was edgy. It was like, that makes me feel uncomfortable, and but that's what the gimmick was. Like, can you imagine
Yeah,
if
that's
he,
exactly what I was.
see where his career is now, and how it's been and everything too. If he would have just been like that gimmick, not gonna do
Yeah,
it.
where
No.
would he be? I
Yeah.
let's be
I
real. His career, like he was. I think that Dustin Runnels, Dustin Rhodes was another. It's probably the most underrated Rhodes.
Yeah. Yep.
Dusty, Dusty got his credit. Dusty's one of the greatest of all time.
Yep.
Cody worked his. We talked about Stardust.
Yep.
Cody rewrote his own story, and
Mhm.
Cody's awesome. I have nothing but respect for Cody. Anytime that we have been at a show that Cody was at, um, outside of Mania and SummerSlam, because he didn't have the ability to do this, but every show, every Raw that we were at, every SmackDown we were at, he would stay after the cameras were off, and he would go around and meet pretty much everybody on the floor that stayed.
Yeah. Yep.
And as champion, sign autographs, take pictures. I've never seen another champion do that ever.
Yep.
But the that whole Gold Dust thing, I sit here and you just said, like, now it's you want more flamboyancy, you want more, and I immediately made the comparison. Like, the first, granted, this person was not masked, but Dalton Castle in his Ring of Honor days with the boys, right? Love Dalton Castle.
Yeah.
I was a Ring of Honor guy in what I considered the last true heyday of Ring of Honor. When I would go to events, I would be seeing AJ, I would be seeing Jay Lethal, Moose, uh, Dalton Castle.
Samoa Joe and all them. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
I was there when War Machine was fighting their asses off to be able to get to the WWE.
Yep.
And yeah, it is. It's more, 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 more. The only other pitch meeting I would have loved to just be in on was whoever came up with the Katie Vick idea, because I would have loved to be able to see Vince go, yeah, it sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I was talking to Tony Atlas the other day. We're gonna have Tony on here in a couple of weeks, and I'm really excited about that because if there's one person that I know that doesn't hold back, it's Tony Atlas.
Yeah, he's an interesting fella. I remember walking into the back room. I was at a show, and I walk into the locker room, and there's one of the ladies like standing on his face, and I'm like, what did I walk in? And they're like, oh no, it's his thing, and that's where I'm like,
you're good. It's Tony.
You know what? I think my music's gonna hit. I'm gonna go this way. Like it was, but it was one of those things. You're like walking. You walk into a moment, and you're like, "What's going on?" You know what?
Did you see Danny's Facebook picture when she put her picture up with Tony and they were at a con together or whatever, and Danny's standing there with her foot in Tony's face?
Yep.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then when you find out, like afterwards, like no, he loves that stuff, and then you're like, I mean, to each their own. That's fine, but like it throws you off when you like walk and you're like, that person's standing on that person's face. Is everything okay here? Do you blink twice if you're in danger? Like, yeah.
And to Tony's credit, he's been married to his wife since like 91.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Let's do some. I usually call them rapid fire, but I usually end up going off on tangents, and guests will go off on tangents. So we're getting to the closing portion of the show. For all the viewers out there, listeners, and I always say viewers because I'm like I never post video. These questions you hear on every other wrestling podcast, and then we're going to hit you with some that you probably haven't been asked before.
Okay.
Answer them as quickly as you want, as slow as you want. It's up to you. Your favorite match of all time, not one that you've been in.
Not one that I've been in. Would have had to been the Iron Man match with Brett and Shawn Michaels.
Ooh, touche. You don't see Iron Man matches anymore.
Yeah, probably because nowadays, like they'd be like, maybe those guys beat the shit out of each other for an hour. I remember that specifically because that was the one pay-per-view that at the time it was called Suburban Cable. It wasn't Comcast Cable. Suburban Cable forgot
you dated yourself.
Yeah, I know. I really did. Yeah. Well, I was playing like Sega Channel. So they didn't turn it off, and it just ran. And I was like, oh, I'm getting a $60 pay-per-view for free, and it was a damn good pay-per-view, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite matches, just to watch like those two beat the shit out of each other for an hour. Just like after a 15-minute match, I'm like, 45 more minutes, there's not a snowball's chance in hell. I'm like, you're gonna have to like give me a 50 count over here because I'm gonna die for a little bit.
Give me a 50 count,
and then I'll come back. That one.
Of all the different wrestling styles out there, hardcore, lucha libre, European strong style, Japanese strong style, whatever. What is your favorite to see?
Favorite to see is just brute force. I like seeing dudes just hit just hard. Like I think of some of my favorite times in that too was myself and Byron, two beefy dudes that were just gonna like slug the shit out of each other, and it looks good. He hits hard as a son of a bitch, though. I'll tell you that. Yeah. But we would tell each other, we're like, listen, I'd rather you hit me and it looks snug and tight than this like lackadaisical that it's like we're two big dudes. I've got plenty of spots. Hit me and hit me hard. Let's go. And yeah, that's what I like seeing. I like seeing like the when they go through the. I'm not a fan of the chops because chops suck. They're not my favorite, but like when they're just going through and just like, like hitting real hard and letting it sell, and then another one's hitting even harder, and it's just like escalating and escalating, and it's just that's what I like. I like hitting I like the hard hits.
I love that because I mean I'm a strong style guy. I appreciate anything, but there's just something about that old school strong style where it's got just enough technical stuff to be amazing, but the hits are hard. Like
Sometimes you watch that strong style stuff too, and you're like, you see him hit, and you're like, like I felt
yeah
that for you, like that. You can tell like when it's like that was a little, that was a little harder. That was
yeah. Well, I was at the 2018 Royal Rumble in Philly.
Mhm.
Me and my buddy were sixth row, and we did too much wrestling that weekend. I did. We literally we worked together. We got off work, ran home and changed, drove down to Philly on Friday in time for House of Hardcore. The next morning we woke up and we did Icons of Wrestling, the fan convention.
Yep.
So we got to see. That's where I finally got to meet Sting. That's where I was first in line for Jerry Lawler, and Jerry was like, "Nobody's here. Sit down and talk for a little bit." I was like, "Oh my
You're
god,
like, don't
yes,
mind if I do.
yes."
Yeah.
Victoria, everybody was there.
Yep.
And then that night we had NXT, and my now ex-brother-in-law had a connection to Kevin Dunn, and all we knew is that we got tickets for free. We got comp tickets. And so we were like, "Oh my god, this is going to be amazing. It's Takeover. Adam Cole was
Yeah.
going to be there." And we got up to the box office to go to Will Call. I was like, "Can you grab the tickets? I'm going to go run to the bathroom." And I go back, I go to the bathroom, I come walking back, and he's just going like that. Like just flabbergasted. I was like, "What? Are the
What's
tickets
going
not-"
on? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, "Did they forget to give us tickets?" He's like, "We are front row behind the announcers." And I was like, "Holy shit, are you serious?" And he's like,
You're
"Yeah."
like, hang on a second. I'm gonna go over here and throw up real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh my god!" So we're literally front row, right behind Mauro Ranallo, and I don't even remember who it was that time. And not only were we front row, but it was also when they were doing the like the signing announcements where they'd bring the wrestlers out for a quick camera shot and be like, recently
Yep.
signed NXT, and it was Ricochet, EC3, and War Machine.
Oh wow. Okay.
I was like, I mean, I've saw EC3 in Ring of Honor. I loved EC3. He was great.
Yep.
So I got to talk to him for a minute, and then War Machine came out, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I said, "Guys, I've watched you your entire Ring of Honor career. It's awesome." So I got to talk to them. I got to talk to Ricochet, and then that takeover was insane.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, add in the substances that were being used at that time. Wake up Saturday morning, go to Shikara, or wake up Sunday morning, go to Shikara. By the time we got to Shikara, we were like, "Oh my god, I don't know how much more of this we have left."
Yeah.
Right? I don't know how much more we can do. Then, right from Shikara to the Wells Fargo Center for Rumble, and I'm like, this is the Royal Rumble. This is my first Big Four I've ever been to. We are sixth row. It's the first female Royal Rumble. Like, I'm supposed to be just riding high, and all I can think of is, Christ, I hope this is quick so I can go home and sleep.
I was gonna say like, and then you end up going to the worst pay-per-view to go to as far as time wise. It's not gonna go quick. every time the timer's going off, you're like, all right, start the next timer. Let's go.
I was so drained, but all that big tangent, like I said, these were supposed to be brief. All that big tangent because there was I think it was a fatal four-way. It's either three-way or a four-way. I think it was Cena, Lesnar, Strowman, and Kane for the world title. And that was the night where Strowman accidentally stiffed Lesnar with a knee.
Oh, and then he gave him the punch right back.
And Lesnar gave him a right hook that it sounds nasty on the tape. He cracked him.
And seeing like the verbal between him when he's like slow down. You're like, oh yeah, that was your hey buddy, here's your receipt. Just
he cracked him.
Jeez.
And
Yeah.
Strowman's talked about it later in later interviews. Like, I think I'm the only guy that took a punch from Brock Lesnar and didn't go out cold. I was like,
It's only because he was near the ropes. He was all right to bounce off the ropes kind of thing.
I mean, he
Yeah.
cracked.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was. Oh. But yeah, by the end of the Rumble, like the women's Rumble was the main event because it was the first one,
Yep.
and it ends and Asuka's doing the normal point, right, and I remember her winning, and I'm like, oh, thank Christ it's over, thank God. And then Rousey's music hit, and it was Rousey's surprise
Oh
debut.
yeah.
Ice, hurry up!
Yeah, you're like, damn it! Listen, we gotta go. We gotta wrap this up.
Yeah,
Somebody call it
I'm
an
like,
event. We gotta wrap it up.
I gotta drive back to Lancaster. Like I am dead to the world.
Yeah.
I don't want any more wrestling for a while. That
Yeah.
lasted like a week.
Yeah, I was just saying that lasted what a night or two. So
Yeah. Well, that's like I always tell this story because I want to give credit to Raleigh because she for WrestleMania 40 said the hottest thing that any woman has ever said to me ever. She rolled over, woke me up on Saturday morning, and said, I just got us tickets to WrestleMania. We got to go. And I was like, boom, man. I flew out of that bed. I was like, oh,
you're
I
like,
really
hang
turned
on.
on. We got wrestling to go, right?
You're like, hold on, I need a second. And then you run into the other room. You're like, ah! And then come back. You're like, anyway.
I didn't.
So
I didn't even hide my excitement. I mean, I was dressed in about
awesome.
half a second. I was like, let's go. But after night 2 of and we didn't plan it. Usually, like for SummerSlam, we planned it weeks ahead. Right?
Yep.
Like we knew where we were going to stay or whatever. For Mania, it was literally she got the tickets like the morning of night 1. So we didn't get a hotel. We drove down, did night 1, drove back, woke up, drove down, and went to WWE World, and then went to night 2. And that was when Cody finished his story, which still to this day, I think is probably the biggest WrestleMania ending ever. I mean, I'm talking Taker, Cena, Rollins. Everybody showed up that night. The Rock. I mean, my God. It was
we were my son and I we did the same thing. We went night 1, went back. We were like sort of like, all right, drive 2 hours back to my house or an hour to my mom's house. So I was like, hey, we're just staying at grandma's house for the night. So we stayed at my mom's, went back for night 2. But it was fantastic. It was nice to be there for that moment that I was just like, this is cool. The only thing that would have made it a little cooler for myself would have been Stone Cold being there because that's what I wanted. That's
I
the
know.
pop I
The whole
wanted.
crowd was waiting for that glass to break.
It's what I wanted. I was like, listen, that's all I wanted to hear was just the glass break, and I'd have been A-okay.
But we got to the car after night 2, and for the younger listeners out there, when you get older, you'll realize there's nothing quite like getting to the car after a big event because you just sit there and it's quiet.
Yep.
And
you're humble. You're just in such a good headspace. You're like, that was just cool as shit. Like that was yeah.
And the first thing I did is I looked at Raleigh and I went, I don't think I need to go to another event ever again. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, this night, this event, WrestleMania 40, was such a big event. It was the end, the culmination of what I still believe is probably the biggest storyline in professional wrestling history.
Yep.
And the atmosphere, the crowd, it was I said, there will never in our lifetime be anything that will be able to compare to this. And I lasted a month. And then we ended up going to like Raw and Hershey or something.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite match that you were in?
Favorite match that I was in was the first Barnstormer show that we did. It was myself and Ace versus Ricardo and Santino Morello. And I took the Cobra. And I was like, well, I've watched JTG sell it. I could sell it like that all the way from first base to right field. Sure, no problem. I did. I was tired, but that was probably my favorite one because that match there sparked my friendship with Ricardo. That was the I had wrestled him at multiple different venues after that, but that definitely started our friendship, and that was really nice. Like a guy that I watched on TV, and it's just so nice, like how I know he hates the credit. I know he hates hearing how amazing he is, but I don't give a shit. He needs to know he's an amazing person. He brings out the best in everybody. For a guy that started a promotion and he could have gone through and like put himself as the first the inaugural heavyweight champ, and he could have done all this stuff, whatever too. No, he wanted to he gave us all a place to showcase ourselves and be the best versions of ourselves. So I know he don't like it and everything too, but tough shit. He can get the credit. He's gonna get the credit and everything too. But he's such an amazing person. And I've been very fortunate to it's one of those, like I sit there and tell like my younger self, like, can you imagine like how cool it'd be to just like message Ricardo just randomly one day and he just like messages you
Oh,
back about life and everything. It's like that wouldn't happen, and it did, and
yeah.
it did, and I,
I
I
literally
I'm
just
very,
made a
I'm
post about something like that. Like I
yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
I absolutely get it.
There was that was the show that we were talking about the match, and I remember the look. That was the first look of panic I've ever had with Nate. That he had that look of like, oh my god, we're not even ready. Our music hits, and Santino goes, "Oh, is that our music?" And we're like, and we're like, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, 1, 2, 15. All right, I'm all stretched out, I'm ready to go." And just his look of like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." And we were the opener for this inaugural show at the Barnstormer Stadium, and we went out and had such a fun time. Second match would have been, as far as like just fun matches and everything too, was our match against with Ben Bishop and Microman. That was so
Much
it,
fun.
it was so much fun, and listening, it's so fun. So Microman, love that guy. He's phenomenal. um does not speak any English at all. So
None.
we're like, so
None.
we're trying to figure it out. We're like, oh my god, we're like, thank God Ricardo's here because obviously he can help us translate and everything too. But hearing Ben Bishop go, and he just looked at me, goes, huh, 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 and he's like, I was like, that's fantastic. Like I just like to be a fly on the wall while we were like talking it over and stuff like that too. It was so cool.
That's
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's so Ben too. I
It,
love Ben Bishop.
oh my god, that guy is ridiculous. Oh my god, he's fun to
His
watch
social
on
media
social.
stuff just
Yeah, his social media stuff. I laughed so hard, and he's just like, but he said, and then you talk to him, he's such a nice dude. He's just like, that's a guy he's got something. Yeah,
oh, 100%. I was very surprised when he didn't get. I know he had his SummerSlam tryout and he
yeah.
didn't. They've really missed the ball on that one.
But
100%.
sometimes it works out almost better for him too. Like if they don't get it, it's like it gives him that drive, that little more
Oh
to
yeah,
like, oh yeah, yeah, kind of thing. But it's yeah, yeah. But yes,
one.
I would say those were some of my favorite matches, and then emotional favorite matches was definitely my final two between SWO and Three Legacy. Those were my like going into it, going, all right, don't cry.
Yeah,
That was the tough part, and
you
then
held it together pretty good.
yeah, and listen, and I do a lot of bullshitting and yelling and screaming. And before I go out, I always have like 5 or 6 pieces of gum in my mouth because my mouth gets so dry when I'd be out there. And then I was like, oh, I have to talk on the microphone. I don't know if I have a voice left. All right, here we go. So it was, yeah,
I
yeah.
it's I love that. So you're the second person now that has brought up the fact that Ricardo just hates getting credit and hates people like telling him
Yep.
good things. And I've had multiple people now be like, you've got to give him so much credit when he gets on the podcast." And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to. Like,
Yeah.
I cannot. I'm gonna wait till he gets back from Italy to schedule it."
Yep.
But oh
But I
man,
mean,
I'm gonna make him sweat.
and I mean, I took some time away from Three Legacy as well. And I had some time away, and he just was very like, he was like, hey, whenever you're ready, you just let me know. And I'm like, I owe you nothing. I owe you everything. You owe me nothing.
Yeah.
And just have that open, just like, hey, you're welcome anytime. And then got to come back and be like a good big staple of it. Was I was very I would tell Ace at the end of every night, I was like, we're so fortunate because there's so much young, hungry talent that's here. Like we're very fortunate to be able to have this showcase. So I would tell him thank you, and he'd be like, "That's enough." I'm like, "Listen, man, I'm gonna give you credit where it's due, man. You're just gonna have to just listen to me and tough shit." So,
I know. I cannot wait to have
yeah,
it's gonna be so much. It's gonna be hilarious. All right, so WWE's got their big four, or I guess now it's big five. Who knows? I've got the big four closing questions here on the Heat Hope Hard Times podcast that every guest gets. First, General Keisel, what does heat, hope, and hard times mean to you personally?
heat, hope, and hard times. Hard time. I mean, hate to be cliche about it, but hard times don't last. I mean, they last as long as you let them. They can either define you or they can, I've gone through hard times. I've gone through real hard times. I wrestled through like during my wrestling career as well, and I went through a divorce. I went through moving. I went through like, and stuff like that sucks, but the one thing that was always there was those friends that I made. So hey, just yeah, you have hardships, you have heartache, you have like, I think I should be here, but I'm not. And I just, sometimes you get down on yourself, but it's there's people you surround yourself with that really bring you up. They bring out the best in you. So yeah, they last as long as you let them, as long as you will allow them to. So
Beautiful, beautifully put, beautifully put. You're
yeah.
very well spoken. Okay, three things. You have to give one answer for each thing.
Okay.
What needs to start, stop, and change in the pro wrestling industry?
What needs to start? Actually, what needs to stop? Are we talking about we talking about indies and stuff like that?
No,
Or
there's
even
no.
just yeah. I mean, things that need to stop in pro wrestling. I miss the magic. I miss the not knowing. Like, you go through and it's the dirt sheets suck. It's like because it's like it ruins things. Because like when I remember going through and looking on when the internet was still like starting to roll around. You'd be like, who's gonna be at the Royal Rumble? Who's gonna be? And it
Yeah.
was like, I don't know. It could be. It could be. It could be. Now it's like, oh, hey, here's the run sheet. It's like, no, I don't want that. Like, I want to be surprised. So like the
Especially for the Rumble.
yeah, I mean, and that's why I love watching because it was like, oh man, who's gonna be the random person? It's like I read it like 2 weeks ago, so it's been ruined for me. It's like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I can't stand. I was like you, right? Especially as a teenager growing up when the internet was first. I don't want to say first coming around, but
Yeah, yeah, when
when
it
it
was
became
starting to be
popular,
prominent. Yep.
I was doing the same thing. I wanted to know. I wanted to be in the know so I could look like and act like I was smarter than my friends that didn't know, right?
Monday Night Raw. I used to watch Monday Night Raw, and I was in middle school at the time, and the Monday Night Wars and stuff like that too. That you'd watch it, and I'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna be tired." My mom would always tell me, she's like, "You're gonna be tired for school tomorrow." I'm like, "I don't care, I don't care." You'd be like watching the clock. You're like, "It's
Who
11
needs school?
it's you're like it's 11:04. Oh no, no, don't go off." And then they would just go off the air, and you'd be like, "No!" And it's not like you could just run to the internet and see like what happened afterwards. They were like, you just had to hear, oh, my friend Tom was at the event and this is what he said happened. It's like, did it or didn't it? It was,
Age of the dark.
um yeah, so I mean, so that was nice having that. I think guys need to use social media more. I think a lot of people miss out on, like, especially people that are big on, like, hey, you're that top guy at a promotion. You're that guy that's trying to get that push and that and everything too. Listen, when I'm sitting down taking a shit, scrolling social media, it takes 5 seconds to share a post, to share and tag the
I'll keep that
wrestling.
in mind the next time I see you sharing a post.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, Kiesel's on the shitter.
Yep.
Kiesel shared a lot of stuff today. I just must have had the shits. I must have had bad tacos or something. So, but stuff like that needs to start more. Is those guys that go through, and I mean, there's a lot of people that do a great job of going through and flyering and doing that stuff. But taking that initiative, don't wait for that promoter to say like, hey, I wish I had some help doing this. Be proactive with it. Do that stuff. So I think starting that a lot more. Continued, but continued would just be just going through and just keeping that interaction with fans. Don't lose that interaction with fans. You lose that interaction with, like, when everybody talks about it and we say, like, thank you for all you people coming out and supporting us. We genuinely mean that. We went through COVID and we had no idea going through COVID if wrestling would even come back. If we'd be able to go back to live shows. That was a sucky time for a lot of us. There was a lot of people that stopped wrestling during that time. There were some people that were like, "Hey, I'm going to take this and I'm doing tapings." Hell, I did tapings in a barn in a ring that we were uploading online and everything too, to keep things going and keep storylines going and trying to, like, get people into it. But I feel like that opened up so many more avenues too, because now promotions started going through and getting creative. So utilizing what they have available to you, but definitely just not losing that interaction with the fans and getting them involved and getting them to, that one person to feel like that $20 I spent, that $30 I spent. Hell, I went and got a VIP pass for $50 to get these autographs and that. Give them their money's worth. They worked
Yeah.
hard to come to that show. They worked hard to come to that show month in, month out, kind of thing. So when we say, like, thank you for those fans that are there and support, like, I speak for myself and a lot of the other guys in the locker room. We genuinely mean that, and that's what, because if it wasn't for them, we'd be like, what are we what are we doing this for? It's, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, final two.
Okay.
Are there any narratives or rumors that you'd like to clear up about you to set the record straight?
I'm not going to be in ring wrestling anymore. I know I stepped away before, and I thought I was done. I thought I was done. It was the birth of my daughter. I thought I was done, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm done. I'm glad I came back. I'm glad I came back, and I really feel like for myself, I really finished on my terms. I finished having so much fun and just like I feeling like I'm on top of the world. Um, so in ring is done. Will you still see me there? Will you still see me, in the back helping out or helping where I can as well? Yes, I would love to. I'd love to give back to the younger guys the stuff that I received when I was there as well. So it's just, but as far as for in ring is, yes, it is done. My wife is going through and kind of putting my stuff in a like little shadow box kind of thing. That's gonna be the hard part, for myself, just for that mentally. But no, it's and a lot of people ask her, like, oh, is he just leaving because what my wife and I are expecting in May? She's like, they're like, is it because of that? I'm like, no, it has no. She's like, nope, this is all him. That is all him. So yeah, so it was definitely so yeah. So that is the official. I know a lot of people are like, I'll see you in April, I'll see you in June. I'm like, you will, but I'll be there supporting my friends, not dressed up. I'll be wearing my street clothes and
Yeah.
wearing my Crocs and shorts. So
Well, last one. Who should I have on the podcast in the future?
oh, I would it's it's got to be Ace. It's got to be Ace.
Ah, well, 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, so yeah, Ace. He's been a really good one. Between Ace and Mr. Ping, those would be two really really good ones. Or yeah, those are my near and dears. But yeah, yeah.
I will make it happen. There's a way I will make it happen. Well, General Keisel, on behalf of myself, thank you for coming on the podcast today. It was an absolute pleasure. I think I'll have to check. You may have broken Smiley's record for longest episode,
Wow.
which is that's an accolade.
I mean, you only talk to one of his personalities, so
That's true.
that's
That is true. I'm just going to give the win to you.
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
On behalf of all my listeners, on behalf of the fans that have watched you, we all greatly, greatly appreciate the amount of love and just sheer professionalism that you gave us. Watching you has been so much damn fun, and I'm glad I got to see you in person. So
I appreciate that. I
thank you,
appreciate that.
truly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this wraps up another episode of the Heat, Hope, and Hard Times podcast. Be sure to keep tuning in. We've got some really big names coming up, some really cool interviews. And every now and then you'll get a solo episode where I talk to myself. So thank you guys. We will see you next time.